Some lessons don't come from books. They come from bruises. They come from life.
There is no substitute for experience, period.
Some of the biggest successes were a byproduct of failure.
If you want to learn, build, and grow,
Why not learn from somebody who's already paid the price for success?
the wisdom is in the gray.
This is the Greybeard Show.
Learn,
Build.
grow.
And welcome to the show. You're listening to the Greybeard Show. My name is Shawn Davis, but in case you didn't realize, I go by Greybeard, and you're along with me as I'm talking about positive life change. My mission, I'm here to uplift, inspire, and encourage people into meaningful and lasting positive life change. And today, we are talking all about 7 things that are stealing your peace. And I'm going to give you the Greybeard guide to fix it. It's a fix-it guide. But our conversation today is going to be on 7 things that I see again and again and again as I meet with clients that are interested in working with me as a mentor, as a coach. 7 things that are consistently stealing the peace of people I speak to and how to address them. So this is going to be a good one. It might be a little bit like drinking from a fire hose, so strap yourself in and get ready because here we go. Let me tell you something I figured out years ago, something that changed my entire life. Most of the weight you're carrying right now doesn't actually belong to you. I learned this back in 2009 during the Great Recession. I was glued to the news. Every channel, every update, every expert telling me how bad things were and how much worse they were going to get. And I was absorbing all of it, taking it all in, letting it wound me every single day. And then one day I asked myself a simple question. What am I actually going to do about any of this? The answer was nothing. Not because I didn't care, but because none of my worrying was changing anything. The recession was happening whether I watched the news or not. The economy was going to do what it was going to do. And all of my anxiety about it wasn't helping. It was just paralyzing me. So I made a decision that day that I've stuck with ever since. I turned off the news completely. And I haven't looked back. Now, I give it maybe 10 minutes a day total, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 in the evening, just enough to stay aware. That's it. That's all it deserves relative to my ability to actually change what's happening out there. And you know what happened when I made that change? I got my life back. I got my peace back. I stopped being paralyzed and started moving forward again in life. I stopped reacting to everyone else's chaos and starting building the life I actually wanted to live. That was over 15 years ago. And I'm telling you this because I see so many people right now living exactly like I was living back then. Maybe you're one of them. You wake up anxious. You scroll through your phone and every headline makes your chest tight. You get into arguments online with people you don't even know. You compare yourself to everyone else's perfect Instagram life and you feel like you're falling behind. You're worried about politics you can't control. Societal changes you can't stop. Money problems that haven't even happened yet. And all of that worry, all of that noise, it's stealing your peace. And worse than that, it's keeping you stuck. Some of you may be so consumed by chaos that isn't even yours that you've stopped dreaming. You've stopped building. You stop moving forward in your own life. Listen, I get it. I've been exactly where you are. I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to help you because I've lived through this and I've come out the other side. I'm the guide who's already walked this path. I've already made these mistakes. I've already carried the weight that didn't belong to me, and I've learned, sometimes the hard way, how to put it down. And now I want to show you how to do the same. See, here's what I know that maybe you haven't fully realized yet. You're the boss of your own life. You get to decide what you let in, what you focus on, who gets access to your time and energy, what you worry about, and what you just let go. You can't control what's happening in Washington. You can't control the economy. You can't control what people post on social media or what your neighbor thinks about politics. But you absolutely can control how much of that stuff you allow to steal your peace. And when you finally take control, when you stop volunteering for everyone else's anxiety, everything changes. You start dreaming again. You start building again. You start moving forward in your life instead of just treading water in a sea of worry. I've watched this transformation happen in my own life and in the lives of people I care about, and I want it for you too. Let me give you an example of my own journey. After I stopped watching the news back in 2009, I needed to fill that space with something. I realized mostly it was just noise in the background, something to not feel the quiet. So for the first time in my life, I did something I'd never done before. I started listening to jazz music. I swear, honestly, I'd never listened to it before. And I like the idea that it wasn't songs. It wasn't somebody's voice. It wasn't something I had to pay attention to. It was just this vibe. Just this thing that as soon as I turned it on, my day changed. I know that sounds random, but just stay with me. Jazz is calming. It's soothing. It's beautiful. And it became the soundtrack of my days instead of cable news anchors yelling at me about things I couldn't change. I replaced noise with music, anxiety with peace. And that one simple change rippled out into everything else that was going on in my life. I also completely changed how I use social media. I stopped following outrage, even when I agreed with it. I unfollowed anyone who made me angry, anxious, or envious. Instead, I started following people who inspired me, who helped me dream, who showed me what's possible, who remind me that I have way more control over my trajectory in life than I sometimes believe. These weren't huge, dramatic life overhauls. They were simple decisions, but they added up to something massive. I took my life back. And that's what I want for you. I want you to stop taking shrapnel from battles that aren't yours. I want you to stop being paralyzed by worry about things you can't control. I want you to remember that your life, your actual, real, right now life is still happening. And it's waiting for you to show up. Over the next few segments, I'm going to walk you through 7 specific things that are probably stealing your peace right now. 7 things I've dealt with myself. 7 things I learned to put down so I could move forward in my life. And I'm not just going to tell you what they are. I'm going to tell you exactly how to fix them. Practical steps, real strategies, things that actually work because I've lived them myself. We're going to talk about politics and how to stop letting it consume you. We're going to talk about comparison and how to quit measuring yourself against everyone else. We're going to talk about money worries, toxic relationships, news consumption, and all the other stuff that's draining your energy and keeping you stuck. But here's the promise I'm making you. By the end of this show, you're going to have a clear path forward. You're going to know exactly what to eliminate and exactly how to do it. And you're going to remember that you're more capable than you think and that you have more control than you realize. Because listen, I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed. I know what it's like to feel like the world is spinning out of control and you're just trying to hold on. I've been there. But I also know what it's like on the other side. I know what peace feels like. I know what it's like to wake up without anxiety. To go through your day focused on what actually matters, what's moving your life forward, what you dreamed about, what you work toward, to build a life you're proud of, instead of just reacting to everyone else's chaos. And I want that for you. Not someday, not eventually, starting right now. The shrapnel, societal shrapnel, the carnage, the damage, the chaos, the explosions, that shrapnel you're taking isn't yours. It never was. And you don't have to be subjected to it any longer. I'm going to show you how to put it down. I'm going to show you how to dream again, how to focus on what you can control, how to curate a life that fosters peace instead of chaos, because you deserve that. And because 2026 can be the year everything changes. Not because the world gets quieter, but because you stop letting the noise run your life. You're in the driver's seat right now, literally. You're listening to this because some part of you knows you need this. Some part of you is ready for change. Good. Let's do this together. I've walked this path before you. I know the way, and I promise you there's peace on the other side. Let's go find it. If you're listening right now and you'd like to explore working with me individually as a coach or a mentor, give me a call. Leave me a message. The best number to reach me at is 916-360-0696. Again, 916-360-0696. If you leave me a message, let me know what you're dealing with right now, what you're going through, what you think that I, as a mentor, as a coach, as someone that you've listened to now, might be able to help you with. I would love to know that. So call me at 916-360-0696. And for those of you that would like to get my Fix It guide, the 7 things stealing your peace. It's the Greybeard Fix It guide. We're going to be talking about this throughout the whole show. You can also text me. You can text Greybeard, all one word. I'm the EY version of Grey. So Greybeard, Greybeard, as in the funny white stuff on my chin. Okay, if you text Greybeard to 84503, just key that number in, that 84503, into your smartphone, into your texting app. Key it in like it's my cell phone number. It's not, but use it the same way. And then just text my name, Greybeard. And everybody that responds that way will get the 7 things stealing your peace, the Greybeard Fix It guide. I'll send it to everyone that responds. And if you'd like to connect with me individually, personally, to explore mentorship or coaching, again, you can do so by calling me, 916-360-0696. All right, jumping back in, we're talking about peace stealers, and let's get into it. Let's talk about what's actually stealing your peace right now. I'm going to walk you through 7 specific things that are probably draining your energy, keeping you anxious, and preventing you from moving forward in your life. And I know these intimately because I've dealt with every single one of them myself. Let's start with the big one, the big P. Let's start with politics. Now, before you think I'm telling you not to care about politics or not to vote or not to be informed, that is not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is this. If you're spending hours every day consumed by political news, political arguments, political outrage about things you literally cannot change right now, you're volunteering for anxiety that's stealing your peace. I learned this back in 2009, but it became even clearer to me in the years after that. Every election cycle, every political controversy, every hot take on social media, it was all pulling me in, and I'd get angry. I'd argue with people. I'd stay up late doom scrolling through political news. What did any of that accomplish? Absolutely nothing. My vote matters. Your vote matters. My voice matters. But my daily outrage, that wasn't changing a single thing except my blood pressure and my ability to sleep at night. So here's what I did, and here's what I want you to consider. I put politics in its proper place in my life. Your vote is powerful. Your local involvement can make a real difference, but your constant consumption of political media, that's just feeding the chaos. It's feeding the division. It's giving you the illusion that you're doing something when really you're just absorbing stress. Here's my suggestion. Limit your political news consumption to what you actually need to make informed decisions. Check in when there's an election cycle. Stay aware of major political developments, but stop mainlining political outrage every single day. Unfollow the political accounts that make you angry, even if they're the ones you agree with. Stop getting into arguments with strangers online who are never going to change their minds anyway. Stop letting political tribalism become your identity. Because here's what happens when you do this. You get your energy back. You can redirect that energy toward things you actually can control. Your family, your health, your work, your dreams, your community in tangible, real ways. Politics will always be there, but your life is happening right now, and it deserves more of your attention than whatever outrage is trending today, whatever they're trying to foment, whatever they're trying to develop in all of us, this political divide. It's more important that you set that down and focus on the things, the people, and the situations in your life that you can affect change in, positive change and control in. Let's move on to the second peace stealer, comparison. This one's sneaky because it doesn't always feel like it's hurting you. You're just scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, looking at your friends' vacation photos, their new houses, their success stories, their perfect families, and somewhere in the back of your mind, you start measuring yourself against them, and you feel like you're falling behind. Does this sound familiar? Here's what I've learned about comparison. It's a thief. It steals your joy, your contentment, and your ability to be present in your own life. And it's based on a lie. I read an article the other day that, if you believe in God, you've got to believe in the enemy of God. And the enemy of God doesn't have to do anything more to derail you from your purpose than to distract you. How powerful is that? Distraction, comparison, envy, jealousy, all those things keeping you stuck. Now, I had to get really honest with myself about this. Okay, I was comparing my behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reels. And I did this back in 2009, 2010, 2011. Facebook, social media, it was a thing. And it was making me feel inadequate, even when my own life was actually doing well. So I made another change. I stopped following people who made me feel less than. I know that sounds harsh, but hear me out. If every time I saw someone's post, I felt envious or inadequate in some way or behind, I realized that person wasn't adding value to my life. They were stealing my peace. And sometimes it wasn't even their fault. They weren't doing anything wrong, but the comparison game I was playing in my head was toxic. So I removed the trigger. I started following people who inspired me instead, people who showed me what's possible in life without making me feel inadequate, people who encouraged me to build my own path instead of just wishing I had someone else's. Here's what I want you to do. Take an honest inventory of your social media. Who are you following? How do you feel after you see their posts? If the answer is anxious, envious, or inadequate, unfollow them. It's not mean, it's self-preservation. Your life is your life. Their path isn't your path. Their timeline isn't your timeline. Their definition of success doesn't have to be yours. Stop looking sideways at what everyone else is doing and start looking forward at what you actually want, because comparison will keep you stuck forever if you let it. And here's another point I really had to internalize, and this is about faith. It's about spirituality. And every single one of us, I believe, I'm a very faithful spiritual person. I believe every one of us was born with a purpose, that every one of us has unique talents, unique gifting that we have. The stuff that we think is normal that other people recognize is not normal. Each one of us has that, and each one of us has a clear and direct purpose for our life. God has a plan for us, and guess what? Nobody can take that from you. Nobody can get to it first. Nobody can steal it from you. Nobody took what was yours in God's realm and God's plan. You've got to remember that. Comparison wants you to think someone else has what belongs to you. And that is simply not the case. Don't let comparison keep you stuck forever, because it has the potential to do that. Now, let me talk about the third peace stealer. News and media consumption. I already told you I stopped watching the news back in 2009, and that decision has been one of the best things I've ever done for my mental health and my ability to move forward in life. Promise you. Do it. It'll change your life. But let me be clear about what I mean. I'm not ignorant. I'm not uninformed. I still know what's happening in the world, but I put boundaries around how much I consume and how I consume it. 10 minutes a day. That's it. 5 in the morning. Scrolling the top headlines. I don't even dig in. It's just 5 minutes. What's going on? What happened? No more than 5 minutes. 5 in the evening. I check the headlines, stay aware, and then I move on with my actual life. Because here's the thing about news media, especially cable news and news apps and news alerts on your phone. It's designed, the whole rig, the whole game is designed to keep you anxious. It's designed to keep you watching. Fear and outrage are what gets clicks, ratings, and keeps you scrolling longer. So that's what they feed you. And if you're consuming that all day long, you're not staying informed. You're volunteering for a constant state of low-grade anxiety. You're letting other people's chaos become your chaos. You're taking shrapnel from the news organizations. I remember when I finally turned it off. It felt weird at first. I put the TV on the National Geographic channel. I wanted to see lions and zebras and hear about chimps and other things. You know, I didn't want to hear news anymore. I had to turn it off. But it did feel weird, almost like I was missing out on something important. But after a few days, something shifted. I felt lighter, clearer, more present. I replaced that news time with jazz music. I know I keep mentioning this, but it's such a perfect example of replacing noise with something that actually feeds you. Instead of starting my day with cable news anchors yelling about disasters and conflicts, I started my day with music that calms me, that centers me, that reminds me that life can be beautiful. So here's what I want you to try. Put your news consumption on a diet. Set a timer. Give yourself 10. At worst, 15 minutes a day to stay informed, and then step away. Turn off the news alerts on your phone. Stop doom scrolling through news apps, and pay attention to what you replace it with. Don't just eliminate the news and then fill that space with mindless social media scrolling. Replace it with something intentional. Music, a book, a walk, time with someone you care about. Literally anything that feeds you instead of drains you. Because here's what I know after 15 years of living this way. The world keeps spinning, whether you're glued to the news or not, and your constant consumption of it doesn't change anything except your stress levels. You want to be informed? Great, be informed, but be selective, be intentional, be protective of your peace. These first three peace stealers, politics, comparison, and news consumption, they're all connected by one common thread. They're all things outside your control that you're letting control how your day goes, how your mental attitude is, what you bring to the table for your coworkers, for your bosses, for your family, for your children. And the fix for all of them is the same: boundaries, limits, intentional choices about what you consume and how much space you give it in your life. You're the boss of what gets into your head. You're the boss of what gets your attention. You're the boss of what you worry about. And when you start exercising that authority, when you start putting boundaries around these peace stealers, you get something incredible back. You get your energy, you get your focus, you get your ability to dream and build and move forward with your life. We've got 4 more peace stealers to talk about, and I'm going to show you how to deal with every single one of them. But I want you to sit with these first 3 for a minute. Who's stealing your peace right now? Is it politics, comparison, news consumption, all 3? You don't have to tackle everything at once. Just pick one. Start there. Make one change this week, because small changes compound, and the peace you're looking for, it starts with one decision to stop subjecting yourself to the shrapnel of the world that isn't yours. If you'd like some help doing this, this is how you can get some more information or connect with me. Firstly, if you'd like to explore working with Greybeard as a mentor or a coach in your life, you can do so by reaching out to me directly. Here's a number that you can call and leave me a message: 916-360-0696. Tell me who you are. Tell me what's going on. Tell me if you've listened to the show before. I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions for me as a 3-time 7-figure entrepreneur, somebody that has done a lot to make the most mistakes in my life I can, to learn from them. That's how I got all this gray hair and the gray beard I rock. So just call me, 916-360-0696. I'm a problem solver. I tend to think outside the box. I will see your life, your business, your situation differently than you might. So you can connect with me at 916-360-0696. And for those of you that like to get the 7 things stealing your peace, the Greybeard Fix-It Guide, it's specific to this show, what we've been talking about. If you'd like to take advantage of that, you can also communicate with me via text messages. You can text Greybeard. Grey. I'm the EY version of gray. So Greybeard, the white fuzzy stuff on my chin. You'll see if you text Greybeard to 84503 that I do in fact have a gray beard. So text Greybeard to 84503, or if you'd like to connect with me individually, you can call me 916-360-0696. Ask any question you want. Some of your questions I may even answer on future radio shows. So connect with me at that number, 916-360-0696. All right, let's keep it going. We've talked about politics, comparison, and news consumptions. Now I want to talk about 2 more peace stealers that are probably keeping you up at night. Money worries and societal changes. Let's start with money. And look, I'm not talking about legitimate financial concerns that you need to address. If you've got debt you need to tackle, or a budget you need to create, or real financial decisions you need to make, that's different. That's stuff you can actually control and should deal with. What I'm talking about is the hypothetical catastrophizing you're doing at 2 a.m, the what if spirals. What if the economy crashes? What if I lose my job? What if AI takes my job? What if everything falls apart? What if? And here's the thing about those worries. They're not helping you. They're not preparing you. They're just stealing your sleep and your peace. Let me talk about this AI thing for a second, because I know a lot of you out there may be worried about it. You're reading articles about how artificial intelligence is going to replace jobs, how automation is coming for everyone, and how you might be obsolete in 5 years. And I get it. Scary. Change is always scary, especially when it threatens your livelihood. But here's what I want you to understand. Worrying about whether AI might take your job someday is not the same thing as preparing for a changing economy. One steals your peace, the other gives you power. If you're lying awake at night, terrified about AI, that's not productive. But if you're thinking, you know what? The world is changing. What skills do I need to learn? How do I need to adapt? What can I do to stay valuable? Now, in that way, you're being the boss of your life. See the difference? One is paralyzing worry. The other is strategic thinking. I remember lying awake years ago playing out every worst case scenario in my head. I was a professional worrier. I had PhDs in catastrophic thinking. I could take any financial situation and imagine 17 different ways it could all go sideways. And you know what all that worrying got me? Nothing. Absolutely nothing except anxiety and exhaustion. Here's what I finally figured out. Worrying about money you don't have, or problems that haven't happened yet, is like paying interest on a debt you haven't incurred. It's a complete waste of your energy. You can't control the economy. You can't control whether there's going to be a recession. You can't control whether AI is going to disrupt your industry. You can't control a lot of the big financial forces out there. But you know what you can control? Your response, your preparation, your very next decision. So here's what I want you to do. Stop worrying about hypothetical financial disasters and start focusing on what you can actually control right now. Worried about AI? Look into it. Learn new skills. Get better at what you do. Become so valuable that you're irreplaceable. Or start that side business you've been thinking about. Or build that skill set you've been putting off. Do something instead of just worrying about something. Need to make a budget? Make it. Need to cut back on spending? Cut back. Need to build an emergency fund? Start with $20. I don't care how small the step is. Just take one real action instead of spinning your wheels in anxiety, because here's the truth. Action kills anxiety. When you stop worrying about what might happen and start doing something about what is happening, everything shifts. You feel capable again. You feel like the boss of your own life instead of a victim of circumstances. And let me tell you something funny that happened to me. I used to check my bank account about 40 times a day. Like I thought the balance was going to magically change if I just looked at it enough times. You know what I mean? Like somehow staring at it would make more money appear. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. All it did was make me anxious every single time I looked at it. So I stopped. I checked it once a week. That's it. I know that's there. I know it's there. I know it's available. I can look back. I can look back at prior days. I know what's coming in and going out. I don't need to obsessively monitor it like it's a patient in intensive care. And you know what? My financial situation didn't get worse. In fact, it got better because I stopped being paralyzed by anxiety and started making actual decisions. Money worries are real. I get it. But most of the time, you're not worried about actual problems. You're worried about imaginary ones. We're paying interest on debt we haven't incurred yet. We're losing sleep over job losses that haven't happened. Stop it. Focus on what you can control today. Take one action, make one decision, learn one new skill, and watch how much lighter you feel. That's my advice. That's my recommendation to you today. Let's talk about the fifth peace stealer, societal change. Oh man, this one gets people stuck like nothing else. The world is changing. It always has been. And yeah, some of those changes feel uncomfortable. Some of them feel like they're happening too fast. And some of them feel like they're moving in directions you don't love. And I get it. I really do. Change is hard. It's unsettling. And when you feel like the world you grew up in is shifting under your feet, it's natural to feel off balance. But here's what I've learned. You can't stop the tide. You just can't. You can stand on the beach and yell at the ocean all you want, but that water's still coming in. And you've got two choices. You can spend all of your energy lamenting the changes and wishing things were like they used to be, or you can adapt. You can build resilience. You can focus on creating the life you want within whatever world actually exists. I spent way too many years complaining about how things were changing, how things used to be better, how the world was going in the wrong direction. And you know what all that complaining got me? Big old goose egg. Nothing. Absolutely nothing except bitterness and frustration. The world didn't stop changing because I didn't like it. It just kept right on going. And I was the only one suffering because I was so busy looking backward, I wasn't moving forward. So I made a decision. I was going to stop wishing for the world I used to know and start building the life I wanted in the world that actually exists today. And here's the funny thing. Once I made that shift, I realized I had way more control than I thought. I can't control societal trends. I can't control cultural shifts. I can't stop the world from changing, but I can control my own values, my own choices, my own community, my own home, my own life. I can build something meaningful right where I am. I can invest in relationships that matter. I can create stability in my own world, even with bigger world chaos. And so can you. Stop spending all your effort fighting changes you can't control and start investing that energy in building what you can control. Your character, your family bonds, your friendship relationships, your skills, your contribution to your actual community. Because here's what nobody tells you. While you're busy being outraged about societal changes, your life is still happening. Your kids are still growing up. Your relationships still need attention. Your dreams are still waiting for you to pursue them. And you can't get that time back. You can't rewind the clock and get back all those hours you spent angry about the things you couldn't change. And I'll tell you something that made me laugh at myself. I used to get so worked up about changes in society that I'd rant about them to my friends. And one day, one of my buddies just looked at me and said, "Okay, so what are you going to do about it?" And I had no answer because there was nothing I could actually do about most of it. I was just venting, just complaining, just spinning my wheels, spinning energy. That was a wake-up call. I realized I was using all this energy to be angry about stuff I couldn't control instead of using that same energy to build something in areas I could control. So I stopped. I stopped the rants. I stopped the complaints. I stopped letting societal changes steal my peace. And I started focusing on what I actually could build, what I actually could influence, what I could actually control. And my life got so much better, not because society stopped changing, but because I stopped letting those changes paralyze me. Here's what I want you to hear. You don't have to like every change that's happening. You don't have to agree with every trend. You don't have to pretend everything is great, but you also don't have to let it steal your peace. You don't have to let it keep you stuck. You don't have to let it consume your energy. Adapt, build, move forward, focus on what you can control. So now we've covered 5 peace stealers: politics, comparison, news consumption, money worries, and societal change. And here's the common thread through all of them. They're all things outside your direct control that you're letting control you. The fix is always the same: boundaries. Intentional choices, redirecting your energy from what you can't control to what you can. We've got 2 more peace stealers to cover in the next segment, and these are the personal ones, the ones that hit real close to home. Toxic friendships and toxic family members. Those are tough because there's guilt involved, there's history, there's obligation, but they're stealing your peace just like everything else we've talked about. And I'm going to show you how to deal with them because you deserve relationships that fill you up, not drain you. Stick with me. We're getting to the good stuff. The good stuff's coming, but if you're heard enough to know that you'd like to explore working with me as a mentor or coach in your life, here's what I would encourage you to do. Brand new, I've got a phone number here that you can call. Leave me a message. It's 916-360-0696. Call me, 916-360-0696. Let me know who you are, what you're dealing with right now, what's going on in your life. I'd love to know if you have any questions, if you have any stories. I might use your question in a future show, answer it live on this radio program. So if you want to connect, if you'd like to explore mentorship or coaching with me individually, let me know that. Call me, 916-360-0696. And for those of you that would like to get this latest guide, it's about 14, 15 pages, the 7 things stealing your peace. It's the Greybeard Fix It Guide, what we've been talking about all this show. You can do so by texting me. All you got to do is text Greybeard. Again, I'm the EY version of Gray, not the AY. All one word. Don't separate gray and beard. Put it together. Greybeard to 84503. Take that 84503 number, key it into your smartphone, act like it's my cell phone number that's 10 digits. It's not. It's only 5 digits. But if you text Greybeard to 84503, that will let me know you want the 7 things stealing your peace, the Greybeard Fix It Guide. Okay? So call me, 916-360-0696, or text me, Greybeard to 84503. All right, now we're getting into the hard stuff, the personal stuff, the stuff that comes with guilt and history and a whole lot of complicated feelings. We're talking about toxic friendships and toxic family members. And I know just saying those words out loud makes some of you uncomfortable because we're taught that loyalty matters, that you stick by your friends, that family's everything, that blood is thicker than water. And look, I'm not here to tell you that loyalty doesn't matter or that family isn't important. What I'm here to tell you is that some relationships, even ones with people you care about, are stealing your peace. And you are allowed to do something about that. Let's start with toxic friendships. You know the friend I'm talking about. The one who only calls when they need something. The one who dumps all their problems on you but is never around when you need support. The one who criticizes you, drains your energy, makes you feel worse about yourself every time you interact with them. And yet you keep answering the phone. You keep showing up. You keep giving them access to your life because, well, you've been friends for a long time. Or because you feel guilty. Or because you don't want to be the bad guy. Here's what I learned the hard way. Friendship isn't supposed to be an obligation. It's supposed to be a mutual relationship where both people add value to each other's lives. If every interaction with someone leaves you feeling drained, criticized, or anxious, that's not friendship. That's someone using you as their emotional dumping ground. I had a friend years ago who was exactly like this. Every conversation was about their problems, their drama, their crises. And I'd listen, I'd try to help, I'd give advice. And you know what happened? Nothing. They'd ignore the advice, make the same mistakes again, and call me to complain about it all over again. And I kept showing up for it because I thought that's what good friends do. Until one day I realized this person doesn't actually want help. They just want an audience. And I was volunteering to be that audience at the expense of my own peace. So I created some distance. I stopped being available every time they called. I stopped giving advice they weren't going to take. I stopped letting their chaos become my chaos. I stopped being in the proximity of their shrapnel. And you know what? They barely noticed because they weren't really interested in me as a person. They were interested in me as a sounding board. That hurt to realize, but it also freed me. And here's what I want you to understand. You're allowed to let go of friendships that drain you. You're allowed to create boundaries. You're allowed to stop showing up for people who never show up for you. That doesn't make you a bad person. That makes you someone who values their own peace. And here's the thing that's kind of funny. Once I started letting go of toxic friendships, I had so much more energy for the good ones. The friends who actually cared about me, the friends who invested in me like I invested in them, the friends who made my life better instead of harder. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if you're spending all your energy on toxic friendships, you've got nothing left for the relationships that actually matter. So here's what I suggest. Take inventory. Who's in your life that drains you? Who only takes and never gives? Who makes you feel worse about yourself? You don't have to have a big dramatic confrontation. You don't have to write them off completely, but you can create distance. You can stop being so available. You can redirect your energy toward friendships that actually fill you up, because life's too short to spend it with people who steal your peace. Now let's talk about the hard one, the really hard one, toxic family members. Oh man, this is where the guilt really kicks in, right? Because we're told that family's everything, that you're supposed to love your family unconditionally, that you're supposed to forgive and forget and show up no matter what. And that's a beautiful in theory. It really is. But what about when your family member criticizes everything you do? What about when they're manipulative? What about when every interaction with them leaves you feeling inadequate or anxious or hurt? What about when they steal your peace? So here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Sharing DNA with someone doesn't mean they get unlimited access to your life. It doesn't mean you have to tolerate behavior that you wouldn't accept from anyone else. You can love someone from a distance. You can set boundaries with family. You're not required to give everyone access to your peace just because you're related. I know several people who have toxic family members, parents who are constantly critical, siblings who are manipulative, relatives who bring nothing but drama and negativity every time they show up. And these people I know, they kept showing up. They kept trying. They kept hoping it would get better. They kept sacrificing their own peace because that's just how family is. Until they realized, no, that's not how family has to be. Here's what I've learned about toxic family relationships. Hoping they'll change is not a strategy. Waiting for them to suddenly become the parent or sibling or relative you wish they were, that's just setting yourself up for disappointment. You have to deal with who they actually are, not who you wish they were. And dealing with who they actually are might mean creating some serious boundaries in your life. Maybe that means limiting your time with them. Maybe that means not sharing certain parts of your life with them because you know they'll criticize or undermine you. Maybe that means skipping certain family gatherings will be toxic. And yes, people will judge you for it. Other family members will say you're being difficult or unforgiving or selfish. Let them. Because here's what those people don't understand. They're not the ones paying your price. You are. You're the one lying awake at night after that family dinner where you got criticized. You're the one dealing with the anxiety before you have to see them again. You're the one whose peace is being stolen. And you have the right to protect yourself. Now, I'm not saying cut off everyone who annoys you. I'm not saying family doesn't matter. What I am saying is that you're allowed to set boundaries with people who hurt you, even if they're family. You can love them and still protect yourself. You can care about them and still limit their access to your life. You can acknowledge the relationship and still choose your own peace. Here's something that you might benefit from, something that might help you. Ask yourself this question. If the person wasn't family, would I choose to have them in my life? If the answer is no, that tells you something important. And look, I get it. This is complicated. There's guilt and obligation and history and all kinds of emotions wrapped up in family relationships. But at the end of the day, your peace matters. Your mental health matters. Your ability to move forward in your own life, it matters. And if family members are preventing that, if they're stealing your peace every time you interact with them, you have to do something about it. It might feel selfish, it might feel wrong, but it's not. It's self-preservation. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them is create some healthy distance. I'll tell you something kind of funny. I used to feel so guilty about setting boundaries with difficult family members. I'd beat myself up about it. I'd wonder if I was being a bad person. And then I realized the people who were making me feel guilty weren't the ones dealing with the toxic behavior. They weren't the ones getting criticized or manipulated or hurt. They were just watching from the sidelines, telling me what I should do. Easy to give advice when you're not the one paying the price, right? So I stopped listening to the guilt trips. I stopped letting other people's opinions dictate my boundaries. I started protecting my own peace instead, and my life got so much better. So here's what I want you to hear. You deserve relationships, families, and friendships that build you up instead of tearing you down. You deserve people in your life who support you, encourage you, and add value instead of just taking from you. And if someone is doing that, even if they're family, you're allowed to create distance. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to protect your peace. That's not selfish. That's wisdom. We've covered all 7 peace stealers now. Politics, comparison, news consumption, money worries, societal change, toxic friendships, and toxic family members. 7 things that are probably stealing your peace right now. 7 things that have more control over you than you think. Coming up next is the end of the show where I bring it all together. I'm going to remind you why this matters and what's waiting for you on the other side, because there is another side. There is peace. There is freedom. There's the life you actually want to be living, and it starts with putting down the shrapnel that isn't yours. Stay with me. We're almost there. If you'd like to connect or would like more information on anything that I've talked about during the show right now, here's how you can do so. You can give me a call right now at 916-360-0696. Leave me a message. Tell me what's going on in your life. Tell me what you're dealing with. Tell me what you like about the show. Communicate with me. Let me know what's going on, and I promise I'll give you a call back. 916-360-0696. Or if you'd like to get our latest resource here, if you'd like to avoid those 7 things that could be stealing your peace, it's the Greybeard Fix-It Guide. You can get that by texting me, 84503. Just text Greybeard, 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 to 84503. So once again, you can either call me at 916-360-0696 or text Greybeard to 84503. Listen, we've covered a lot today. 7 peace stealers, 7 things that are weighing you down, 7 things you can actually change. Politics, comparison, news consumption, money worries, societal change, toxic friendships, toxic family members. And the common thread? They're all things outside your control that you've been letting control you. But here's what I need you to hear before we wrap up. You don't have to live like this anymore. You don't have to carry weight that doesn't belong to you. You don't have to be paralyzed by chaos you can't change. You are the boss of your own life. And starting right now, today, you can begin reclaiming your peace. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not promising everything will be perfect, but I am telling you from personal experience, from someone who's already walked this path, that there is another side. There's peace waiting for you. There's freedom. There's the life you actually want to be living. And it starts with one decision, one change, one step. Pick one peace stealer, just one. Maybe it's turning off the news. Maybe it's unfollowing accounts that make you anxious. Maybe it's setting a boundary with someone who drains you. Whatever it is, start there this week. One small change. That's all you need to begin. And here's the most important thing I want to leave you with today. Don't do this alone. Find a change partner. Find someone who will walk this journey with you. Someone who will hold you accountable when you want to slip back into old patterns. Someone who will remind you why you got started and when it gets hard. Because it will get hard. There will be days when you want to go back to doom scrolling or answer the call from the toxic friend or let comparison steal your joy again. And on those days, having someone in your corner makes all the difference. Life change happens faster and goes deeper when you're not doing it alone. So reach out. Find that person. Tell them what you're trying to do. Ask them for support. Now, I've put together the 7 things stealing your peace, the Greybeard Fix-It Guide, with specific practical steps for each peace stealer we've discussed during the show today. If you want it, reach out and get it. Use it, reference it, let it be your roadmap. Don't just read it and file it away. Actually do something with it. Make the changes, take the steps, find your partner, move forward, because your life is still happening right now, today, and it's waiting for you to show up for it. You're more capable than you realize. You're stronger than you think. And 2026 can be the year you find peace again. Not because the world got quieter, but because you stopped letting the noise run your life. The shrapnel you've been taking from society, from others, from these peace stealers. It isn't yours. It never was. Put it down. Dream again. Focus on what you can control. Build the life you actually want instead of just reacting to everyone else's agenda, everyone else's chaos. You deserve peace. You deserve to wake up without anxiety. You deserve to move forward instead of being stuck. And remember, you can have it. You can start today. Thanks for spending this time with me. Now I suggest you go out there and reclaim your life. You're the boss. It's time to act like it, right? And so one last time, just a little conversation here amongst friends. I will share this. I've been on this journey for a long time, 35, almost 40 years in business. Learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes. The reason I call myself Greybeard is I literally have lots of gray hair and a very gray beard that I earned through challenges, through chaos, through sleepless nights, through mistakes I've made, through burdens I've carried. And it all has served me. It's served me in a way that's allowed me to become wiser, smarter with choices, more thoughtful and considerate about how I move my life forward. And I think that you can benefit from that as well. These were real stories, not paying attention to the news, not giving it more than 5 minutes a day, listening to that jazz music, not doom scrolling, getting rid of people that don't serve you, that create anxiety when you watch their feed. All of that stuff is stuff I've lived. It's done. It's how I've gotten to a point where most days, 95% of the time, I am a glass half full optimist. I believe that there's more that you can control of your life than you realize. I believe that you have the power to move it forward. And the one thing that I will say is if we end up getting the chance to talk because you call 916-360-0696, if we get that chance to talk, you'll realize that I am an optimist, that I have learned a lot of these lessons, but I am empowering to others. I see your situation differently than you do. I'll view it. I'll view opportunities. I'm a problem solver. I will likely figure out different ways that you could attack whatever challenges you're experiencing, overcome them, drive through them, go under them, go around them, whatever that might be. I've done that in business for 35 years. It's part of who I am. It's part of my DNA. And if you think that you could benefit from that, then reach out. I'd love to hear from you. 916-360-0696. If you'd like to get our guide, listen, life's tough out there. If I was given an opportunity to have a free guide that might help me overcome 7 peace stealers I might be experiencing in my life, then I'd want to know how to get it. So if you want to get that guide, the 7 things stealing your peace, the Greybeard Fix It guide, you can text Greybeard to 84503. My team's standing by right now. When you text us or call us, I won't be able to answer every call that comes in. If you leave a voicemail message, I will call you back. That is my commitment. That is my promise to you. If you text us, we will reach out to you directly. You can text us once again by going to your smartphone app. If you go to your texting portal on your app, just key in that number 84503 and then just text my name. Greybeard, all one word, Greybeard, to 84503. Once again, that's Greybeard to 84503. And everybody that does reach out will get the 7 things stealing your peace, the Greybeard Fix It guide, and how to fix that, all right? So rest assured, my friends, I'll be back here same time, same place next week to talk more mentorship and coaching. Greybeard out. This is The Greybeard Show.
The Greybeard Show.
Learn.
Build.
Grow.